I, 27F, Melissa, gave birth to my son, Noah, 7 months ago. It was a hard pregnancy, unexpected, solo, and very emotional. Noah's father dipped the moment I told him I was keeping the baby, and honestly? Good riddance. I'd rather be alone than raise my child in the shadow of someone who clearly never wanted to be a parent. The first few weeks after the birth were rough. I had a C-section. Breastfeeding was a nightmare. I was sleep-deprived, overwhelmed, and barely holding it together. So when my mom, Donna, 54F, offered to let me and the baby move into my parents' place just for a while, I agreed. It made sense at the time. My apartment was small and on the 3rd floor, not ideal with a healing scar and a newborn. My mom promised it would just be support. Meals, laundry, help with the baby at night. She even said, think of it like a mini postpartum vacation. We've got you. For the first week, it was fine. Comfortable, even. She made dinners, helped burp Noah when my arms were shaking, and took overnight feedings when I cried from exhaustion. But then something shifted. She started referring to Noah as our baby. At first, I brushed it off. That's just grandma talk, I told myself. But it didn't stop there. She began making executive decisions without asking. Changing Noah's formula brand because she thought he looked gassy. Replacing the clothes I brought with things she picked out, saying mine looked cheap and uncomfortable. She'd invite her friends over during his nap time and proudly introduce herself as basically his second mom. I remember one afternoon, walking into the living room with Noah after his nap, and finding a group of her friends there, sipping wine and passing around pictures of him she'd printed. One of them said, "Wow, Donna, you've still got it. You'd think he was yours." And my mom smiled and said, "In all the ways that matter, he is." I was too stunned to speak. I started drawing boundaries. I told her to stop referring to Noah as her baby. I reminded her that I was his mother, and decisions about him needed to go through me. I said I appreciated the help but that I was getting stronger and needed to step up. She smiled and said, "Of course, honey. I'm just helping. You know how I am." But she didn't stop. If anything, she doubled down. I'd wake up in the morning and find she'd already taken him out of his crib, fed him, changed him, and dressed him. She'd say, "You looked so tired, I figured I'd take care of things." It wasn't helpful anymore. It was invasive. She had a key to my room. She kept a separate stash of her baby gear in the guest room she started calling his real nursery. She began doing skin-to-skin contact without asking. Skin-to-skin. That's not a grandma thing. That's a mom and newborn bonding thing. I tried confronting her again, but she got defensive. "I'm just doing what's best for him," she said. "You're a new mom, Melissa. You don't always know what you're doing, and that's okay. That's why I'm here." I told her firmly, "You're not here to replace me." She looked hurt. "I'm not replacing you. But let's be honest, honey, you've been struggling. It's obvious." After that conversation, I started making plans to leave. I called my old landlord and negotiated to get my apartment back. I arranged for baby supplies to be delivered there. I talked to my doctor and asked for resources to manage postpartum anxiety. I was terrified, but I knew if I stayed, I was going to lose my place in my own child's life. But before I could move out, she beat me to the punch. It was a Tuesday afternoon. We were alone in the kitchen, and I was making bottles when she sat down across from me with a very calm, very unsettling tone in her voice. "Melissa," she said. "I've been thinking. You're not ready. And that's okay. Not every woman is cut out for motherhood, especially not at your age, in your situation. I know it's hard to hear, but I think it would be best, for Noah, if he stayed here with me. Permanently." I stopped cold. "What are you talking about? I can raise him. You can still visit. We can even talk to a family lawyer about guardianship." I'd never keep him from you, of course. You'll always be his birth mother. But I think you know deep down, I'm better equipped. I laughed. Laughed. Because I thought it was a sick joke. But she just looked at me, so calm and collected. That's when I realized she wasn't offering. She was taking. I didn't sleep that night. I kept Noah in my bed. I locked the door. I didn't leave the room unless he was in my arms. 2 days later, while she was at a doctor's appointment, I packed everything I could carry and called a friend to pick us up. I left a short note. I love you. But I am Noah's mother. And you need to let go. I haven't spoken to her since. I blocked her number. I blocked my dad's number too. He wasn't involved in this, but he let it happen. And I thought that was it. I thought I could just start over in peace. I was wrong. Because she's not done. And this time, she's turning the whole family against me. I thought disappearing would be enough. I thought once I left with Noah, once I blocked the numbers, once I made it absolutely clear that I was his mother and this wasn't a debate, the storm would pass. Or at least weaken. But I underestimated how far my mom was willing to go to protect the fantasy she'd created, the one where Noah was hers and I was just the emotionally unstable vessel who didn't know what she was doing. Within 2 days, the messages started coming in from extended family. My cousin Erin messaged me first. Hey, I don't want to get involved, but your mom's saying some stuff that's concerning. She told Aunt Linda you abandoned the baby. Abandoned. The word made my stomach turn. By that point, I had Noah sleeping beside me in a bassinet I set up in my old apartment. I was making bottles on the hour, taking him to his first pediatrician appointments, waking up exhausted but really doing it, on my own. But Mom's story? It was different. I didn't hear it firsthand, of course. She'd been blocked. But the ripple effect reached me anyway. Apparently, she was telling people that I had emotionally checked out, that I left the baby in the middle of the night, and that she had no choice but to step in. She even started floating the idea that I had postpartum psychosis and was a danger to Noah. She was planting seeds, not outright accusations, but soft, manipulative doubts. I'm just so worried about her, she told Aunt Tricia. She wasn't even making eye contact with the baby. She hardly touched him some days. Then came the group chat. Our family has this massive Facebook Messenger group that we mostly use for holidays, photo dumps, and birthday reminders. I hadn't muted it yet, so I saw the whole thing unfold in real time. Mom posted a long, heartfelt paragraph, the kind of message that starts with "This is hard for me to say," and ends with "Please pray for Melissa, she needs help." She framed it like concern. Cloaked her control in the language of love. She even attached pictures of Noah, ones I never gave her permission to post. Ones she'd taken during moments where I was clearly exhausted or emotional, using them now as proof that I was struggling. The comments under the post were a mix of sympathy and judgment. So sad. Poor Noah. I knew something felt off. You're doing the right thing, Donna. That baby needs stability. Praying for Melissa. Hope she gets the help she needs. No one called me. No one asked me what happened. They just believed her. Because Donna, suburban supermom, church choir lead, Pinterest-level birthday planner, had built a reputation. She was polished, articulate, and always in control. And I was the girl who got pregnant by a guy who ghosted her. The girl who moved back home. The girl who cried during diaper changes and forgot to eat lunch most days. In her version, she was rescuing Noah. In reality, she was trying to steal him. I tried to stay quiet. Tried to take the high road. But then she crossed a line I couldn't ignore. She sent a letter to my apartment. A real letter, in her fancy cursive writing, sealed in a card that said "Love makes a family." Inside was a typed message. Neat. Clinical. Melissa, I am formally requesting that we discuss temporary guardianship of Noah. This is not an attack, but a compromise. I've already spoken to an attorney about next steps. I believe, in time, you'll see this is the most stable path for him. You're overwhelmed. Let me help, officially. My jaw literally dropped. She really thought I'd go along with this. That after everything, I'd hand over legal rights to my son because she already knows what she's doing. That was the moment I realized. She wasn't just delusional. She was dangerous. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I posted the video. Let me back up. The night she first brought up guardianship, when she sat across the kitchen table and said, "You're not ready. Let me raise him," I'd instinctively pressed record on my phone. I was scared. Confused. And somewhere deep inside, I think I knew I'd need proof that I wasn't imagining this. I'd never shown it to anyone. Until now. I edited it down, not for drama, but for clarity. I added subtitles so people could hear exactly what she said, word for word. "You're not capable of this. I've raised children. I know what I'm doing. You can still visit. I'll never keep him from you. We can make this official. It's better this way." Then I posted it on my private Facebook page with a caption that simply said, "Since people are asking why I left, this is what happened. I'm not unstable. I'm not cruel. I'm a mother protecting her son." I expected backlash. I expected judgment. What I didn't expect was what happened next. The video spread fast. People shared it. Commented. Even people I hadn't talked to in years messaged me with support. One girl from my high school DM'd me and said, "I saw your mom at church every Sunday and thought she was perfect." I had no idea. Dozens of comments flooded in under the post. "You handled this better than most people ever could. This is emotional abuse disguised as parenting advice. You're not the first daughter this has happened to. Stay strong." And slowly, the tide began to turn. Some family members reached out privately to apologize. Others stayed silent. But the damage to Donna's image? It was done. The mask slipped. She wasn't the savior anymore. She was the mother who tried to legally take her daughter's baby, and got caught on video. The day after I posted the video, everything changed. Not just online, in my real life. In how people looked at me. In how the silence around what had happened began to splinter. I didn't feel vindicated, exactly. I felt seen. And after weeks of being painted as an unstable, cruel, postpartum disaster, that alone was enough to make me cry. People I barely remembered from high school messaged me. Former coworkers. A few moms I'd met in local parenting groups. One woman, a complete stranger, said, "This happened to my sister with our mom. You're not alone. You're just one of the few brave enough to fight it." That stuck with me. Because for the first time, I realized this wasn't just my story. It was a pattern, generational control dressed up as maternal concern. My mother wasn't unique. She was textbook. But of course, Donna didn't take it quietly. 2 days after the video went up, she called my dad, not to talk, not to apologize, but to rage. I wasn't supposed to know that, but my dad called me right after. He was quiet for a long time before he spoke. "She said you humiliated her." "She humiliated herself," I said, tired. He sighed. "She also said you edited the video. That it's out of context." "Dad, there is no context where asking for legal guardianship of someone else's baby without their consent is okay." "I know," he said. "I know. I just..." He didn't finish the sentence. But he didn't have to. I knew exactly what was sitting behind that pause. He's scared of her too. That weekend, she finally broke her silence. A long Facebook post, classic Donna. White background, black text, carefully edited with just the right number of line breaks to look like a poem of pain. I never thought I'd be betrayed by my own daughter. I gave her everything. My time. My home. My love. All I ever wanted was to protect my grandson. The video is real, but it's not the whole story. She took me out of context, knowing full well how fragile she was at the time. This is not just a personal attack, it's public character assassination. I will always love Noah. I hope one day Melissa will understand what she's destroyed. Cue the comments. Her choir friends. Her Facebook mom circle. The wine night ladies from the neighborhood. We love you, Donna. You're such a strong woman. This cancel culture is out of control. You were just being a good grandma. Somehow, they still believed her. It didn't matter what she said in that video. It didn't matter that I never once raised my voice, never screamed or threatened. All it took was her well-worded martyr speech and half of them fell right back into orbit around her. But something was different now. Because this time, not everyone bought it. My cousin Erin, who hadn't said a word since all this started, commented under Mom's post. I saw the video. I saw the letter. You asked for legal guardianship and tried to gaslight her into thinking she couldn't do it. That's not love. That's control. It got over 500 likes. Another person commented with just, you got caught. Sit with it. People started pulling receipts. Screenshots. Comments from earlier in the group chat. Her old posts about how Noah is the greatest gift God gave me. It started to unravel. The public mask, the one she'd worn for decades, was cracking. Not shattered. But damaged. And for someone like my mom, damage was worse than destruction. It meant people could still see her, but now they were questioning what they were seeing. She tried to message me again. Not on my phone, still blocked, but through a burner Instagram account. Just a single DM. This is how you repay me? I didn't respond. I blocked that one, too. Because the truth is, she didn't give me her love without strings. She gave me a conditional contract, disguised as generosity. One that read, you owe me obedience. Deference. Your child, if I say so. And when I didn't sign it, she declared war. A week later, my dad came over to visit. Alone. He brought groceries and a toy Noah would be too small for another 6 months. He looked worn down. Not in a dramatic, I'm on the edge kind of way, just tired. The kind of tired that settles into your bones when you've been living between two people's anger for too long. He held Noah. Kissed his forehead. Told him he was proud of his mommy. Then he said something I didn't expect. Your mom's not going to stop. I looked up. She still thinks she can turn this around. That eventually you'll regret leaving. That you'll hand him over. That you'll come to your senses. I didn't speak. She's calling lawyers again, he added. She's saying she wants visitation. I felt my skin go cold. She's trying to sue for grandparent rights? He nodded. She says she helped raise him, even if it was only for a few months. That she has a bond. I almost laughed. She created that bond by taking him out of my arms while I was recovering from surgery. He nodded again. I know. But this is her last move. She's desperate now. I stood up and took Noah from his arms. Held him close. She doesn't get to win, I said. She doesn't get to steal motherhood from me and call it love. My dad looked down at the floor. I wish I'd done more, he said quietly. Me too, I thought. But I didn't say it out loud. I didn't want to be in a courtroom. I didn't want legal drama. Or threats. Or subpoenas. or anything that sounded like it belonged in a daytime soap. I just wanted peace. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to watch my son grow up without feeling like every step I took was being shadowed by someone who thought she could do it better. But my mom didn't stop. Not after the video. Not after the fallout. Not after people began pulling away from her social orbit. She did what controlling people always do when the world stops listening. She went legal. It started with a formal letter. Mailed. Certified. Stamped. My stomach dropped when I read the sender, Law Offices of Kelly and Marr. Inside was a 5-page document requesting reasonable, court-ordered visitation rights for my mother, Donna Chapman, citing her established relationship with the child and concerns over the emotional and developmental health of the minor. She was suing me for grandparent visitation. Because she'd formed a bond. Because I had cut her off with no explanation. Because she had no choice. I stared at the paper for 10 minutes before I moved. I wasn't scared, exactly. I was furious. The gall it took to rip apart my life and then try to wrap it in legal ribbon like she was saving it. I called a lawyer the next day. His name was Chris Mendez. A no-nonsense family law attorney with a calm voice and a let's-end-this-quickly attitude. He'd seen cases like this before, controlling parents who tried to keep their claws in after the kid had kids of their own. Does she have any legal standing? I asked. Chris sighed. Some states recognize grandparent visitation. But it's not a guarantee. The burden is on her to prove that cutting her off harms the child. I looked over at Noah, babbling to himself on a playmat, slapping a soft toy giraffe with glee. He's not even a year old, I said. She's not his co-parent. She's not even in his life anymore. Chris nodded. And that's what we'll show. The court date was set for 6 weeks later. In the meantime, the temperature in the family climbed to a boil. My uncle called to tell me I was being vindictive. My grandma left a voicemail begging me to compromise for the sake of peace. My cousin, the one who defended me online, told me she got uninvited from the annual family beach trip because of the tension. My mom still hadn't spoken to me directly. Every word from her mouth came through lawyers, social media posts, or guilt-ridden third parties. She was smart. She never posted anything that could be used against her in court. No threats. No name-calling. Just vague, polished grief. I miss him more than I can say. Someday he'll know I fought for him. Love makes you do hard things. She was trying to rewrite the narrative again. Make it about her pain. Not her actions. Not her attempts to take custody. Not her offer to raise Noah so I could have my life back. Just her version of love. But this time, people were paying closer attention. I documented everything. Texts. Voicemails. Screenshots of her Facebook post before she deleted it. A copy of the typed letter she mailed me asking for guardianship. The video, of course, was the core of it all. I kept the full version, unedited, with timestamps and metadata. Chris was impressed. You're organized, he said. That'll help. It's not organization, I replied. It's survival. The day of the hearing, I wore the only blazer I owned and packed 3 diapers, 2 pacifiers, and a bottle just in case Noah got fussy. My mom arrived in heels and pearls, like she was going to a luncheon. She didn't look at me. But I looked at her. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. She didn't intimidate me anymore. We weren't in her house, playing by her rules, with her version of reality. We were in court. Under oath. With facts. Her lawyer made a show of it. He described my mom as a warm, devoted grandmother who had played a vital caregiving role during the child's early development. He implied, without saying it outright, that I had mood instability and a pattern of erratic decision-making. Then Chris stood up and calmly dismantled the performance. He presented the video. The letter. The Facebook messages. My pediatrician's affidavit confirming Noah was healthy, thriving, and well cared for. He presented a psychological evaluation I had voluntarily completed, clean, stable, nothing to worry about. He said, "This isn't about a grandmother's love. This is about power." My client's mother didn't support her, she attempted to replace her. When that failed, she retaliated. Then he showed the clip of the full, uncut version of Donna sitting in our kitchen saying, "We can make this official. I'll raise him. You're not ready." You could feel the oxygen drain from the room. The judge ruled 2 weeks later. No visitation rights granted. Case dismissed with prejudice. He said, and I'll never forget this court does not support legally undermining a competent, loving mother based on subjective claims of superiority. When I got the call, I cried. Not just from relief. From validation. From the knowledge that I wasn't crazy, dramatic, or selfish. I was right to walk away. I was right to protect Noah. I was right to say no. I called Chris and thanked him. He said, "You did the heavy lifting. I just made sure people listened." That evening, I got one final email. From my mom. Subject line, "Congratulations. You won. Body. Don't expect to come crawling back when you need help. Enjoy being a single mom. That's what you chose." I didn't reply. I archived it. She was wrong. I didn't win anything. I protected everything. It's been 4 months since the hearing. 4 months since a judge looked at my mother's carefully scripted performance, the letters, the video, the social media theatrics, and saw it all for what it was, a manipulation dressed in concern. A power grab in pastel colors and grandmotherly smiles. Noah is 10 months old now. He just started crawling, and he does this thing where he laughs every time he falls over, like he's in on some private joke with the floor. His favorite toy is still that giraffe. He's teething and drools like a faucet, but he's healthy. Curious. Happy. And I am, okay. Not perfect. Not glowing. But I'm stronger than I was. There are still hard nights. Still mornings when I wake up with anxiety buzzing under my skin, wondering if I made the right choices. If someday he'll ask why I kept him from his grandmother. If he'll read one of her posts saved in a screenshot and ask, was she really that bad? And I'll have to decide what truth to tell. After the court decision, things got quiet. Not peaceful. Just quiet. My mother didn't post about Noah again. She didn't reach out. Didn't call, didn't write, didn't attempt any more legal action. My dad, who remained neutral through most of the chaos, finally admitted he was staying in a hotel part-time. Said they were taking space. "I think she's still trying to convince herself she didn't do anything wrong," he told me during one of our afternoon coffee chats. "Of course she is," I replied. "Because if she admits it, the whole story she built about being the perfect mother unravels." He nodded. "She still says she was just trying to help." She wasn't. She wanted control. He didn't argue. We didn't talk about her again after that. What I didn't expect was how many people reached out after the video. After the court case. After the fallout. People told me their own stories. About mothers who insisted on naming their children's babies. About grandmothers who called CPS after disagreements. About postpartum women whose in-laws tried to have them declared unfit because they wouldn't sleep train at 3 weeks. I heard from so many women who said, "This isn't rare. It's just that no one talks about it because it sounds unbelievable." And they were right. If I hadn't lived it, I might not believe it either. If someone told me their mom tried to take legal custody of their baby while pretending to help, I might wonder what the real story was. Because moms are supposed to be nurturing, supportive, loving. But love without boundaries becomes possession. And help without respect becomes control. People ask me now, do you think she'll come around? Apologize? No. I don't think my mother is capable of true apology, not the kind that admits what she did, not just that someone was hurt. To apologize would mean unraveling the narrative she's curated her whole life, that she's the hero. That she always sacrifices. That everyone else just misunderstands her. If she apologized, she'd have to admit she wasn't saving me, she was erasing me. She'd have to admit she tried to make my baby her second chance. And I don't think she can face that. Not now. Maybe not ever. But I've made peace with that. Because I don't need an apology to move on. I don't need her presence to be a mother. Noah doesn't know any of this yet. To him, I'm just the warm arms that hold him at night, the face that sings badly but with joy, the provider of food and kisses and toys and stability. And that's enough. That's everything. Last week, I got an anonymous package in the mail. No return address. No note. Just a soft, pale blue baby sweater, hand-knitted, with a tiny giraffe stitched into the front. It wasn't hard to guess who it was from. For a moment, I sat on the floor with it in my hands, staring at those tiny sleeves, wondering if this was her olive branch. Her silent gesture. Her version of I still love him. I still care. But I didn't cry. I didn't call her. I didn't even save the sweater. I donated it to a women's shelter the next morning. Because that gift wasn't for Noah. It was for her. A final attempt to insert herself, quietly, as the doting grandmother. To write a post in her head, I may not see him, but I still knit him love. But Noah doesn't need love as image. He needs safety. Boundaries. Consistency. He needs me. If you're reading this because someone in your life is making you feel like you're crazy for protecting your child, you're not. If you've been told you're overreacting or hurting the family or being dramatic because you've said no, you're not. If someone tries to claim your motherhood because they think they can do it better, walk away. You don't owe them anything. Not your baby. Not your story. Not even a response. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is silence. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is leave the door closed.